Everyone, Umar is here. So over to you, Umar.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. I hope you can see the screen. So welcome to the session on Financial Services Cloud. This will just be a very high-level introduction because this has a lot of underlying concepts. And until you're completely familiar with those, we won't really be able to do an in-depth dive. So we'll cover it from a high level and then whatever questions anybody has. So there's a URL in the chat for the raffle. I think you know the procedure. So you can use that URL to enter the raffle. So please enter the raffle. An introduction. My name is Omar Rafi. I'm located in San Jose right now. It's 6:30 in the morning here. And I'm a director of business strategy in the financial services vertical at Salesforce. So I work for Salesforce. My background, I have a bachelor's degree in applied math, a master's in computer science, and a PhD in finance. I've worked for 6 startups, including 3 in fintech. And I've worked for Oracle for about 9 years, and I've been in Salesforce for about 6 years. So over 20 years of experience. And right now I work on the FinServ Financial Services Cloud product and services side. Okay. So we have what's called a forward-looking statement here from Salesforce. I may make certain forward-looking statements during this presentation. Please do not base any future purchase decisions on this statement. So I'm going to work under the assumption that you have some idea of what Salesforce is, and you have some idea of what Sales Cloud is, which is Salesforce's flagship product. And then we'll build upon from there. So Salesforce is the premier software as a service company in the industry. In fact, you could say that Salesforce actually invented software as a service, right? So it's about 22 years old, 23 years old. And it built really the first industry-wide SaaS cloud. And it primarily got into CRM, in the CRM space. So into sales and servicing. After that, it went into some other spaces, and one of these was to build industry vertical products. So on the SaaS cloud, build products for healthcare, build products for telecommunications, build products for financial services. So the product that was built for financial services is called the Financial Services Cloud. So it sits on top of the Sales Cloud and Service Cloud. So you purchase either the Sales Cloud or Service Cloud or both of them. And then on top of that, you then purchase Financial Services Cloud, and it's purchased primarily by the financial services industry. So it's an integrated platform designed to drive stronger client relationships that last generations, powered by Lightning. So Lightning is the UI framework for Salesforce. Financial Services Cloud makes it easy for advisors to develop an concierge level of service with personalized, proactive advice clients expect. So we'll get into what that means. How does it differ from the Sales Cloud? It basically sits on top of the Sales Cloud, right? So it uses the underlying Sales Cloud feature, which itself uses the underlying Platform Cloud features, and it provides enhanced services for the banking industry. So we'll take a look at this slide. This is pretty much the whole Salesforce stack. So if you understand this, you understand how the Salesforce product is structured. Okay, so we'll start from the bottom. So this shows the Salesforce platform in a layered fashion. Okay, we have a multi-tenant infrastructure at the bottom. So this is the key technical infrastructure on top of which Salesforce is built. And without this, you could not have a SaaS cloud. And what multi-tenancy means is, normally when you install, let's say, a database, there's only one company that's using that database, right? When you're on the cloud, when you're on the SaaS cloud, your data from multiple companies, multiple clients is stored in the same tables. All right. So you could have one Oracle customer table Underlying Salesforce is Oracle. So you could have one Oracle customer table, which would have customers from 1,000 different clients in the same table. So you cannot use the existing database architecture to pull off something like that. So Salesforce actually developed its own multi-tenancy software layer on top of relational databases to allow multiple clients to store their data in the same schema. Right? This is a pretty major technical breakthrough. It's like if you're living in a house, 10 people living in their own houses, or 10 people living in an apartment building. So the 10 people living in their own house have everything that just belongs to them. The 10 people living in the apartment building have to share everything, right? But that's more efficient. So I'll leave it at that. There are papers on this if you want to read up on it. So at the bottom is the multi-tenant layer, which means a single instance of the software and its supporting infrastructure serves multiple customers, which is what I just explained. Each customer shares the software application and also shares a single database. So multiple customers in a single database. Each tenant's data is isolated and remains invisible to the other tenant. So that's a technological breakthrough of sorts where you can keep each tenant's data isolated in the same table. So that's the bottom layer. Then you have data services. Some of these services have been around for a while. Some are new. There's an AI platform. There are companies that Salesforce purchased in the AI layer. That's where Salesforce's Einstein Analytics sits, which is now known as Tableau CRM. It includes predictive analytics, machine learning, and deep learning, and natural language processing. That's on the data services and AI platform there. So this is followed by the development platform up here. So another one of the things that Salesforce developed technically alongside the multi-tenant platform is that it allows you to do declarative programming. It gives a very extensive declarative programming layer. Declarative programming means you can program without writing code. Okay? So you write very little code, you're on a screen, you can just click through the screen and the code gets generated in the background. So every product tries to do that, but Salesforce sort of took it to the next level. Another thing it did is it's out of the box API based. So when you're developing, the API for what you're building out gets generated in parallel on the fly. So if anybody from the outside wants to access, any other system wants to access what you've just developed, the API is already there. Okay. So the development platform is called force.com. This is a PaaS development platform for Salesforce. If you want to develop applications on Salesforce, you develop them on this. Okay. And there are a lot of presenters that are presenting applications that were not developed by Salesforce. So Salesforce has what's called an app exchange, right? It's like the exchange that Google has or Apple has but in this case, you build applications, you put them there, and they can be deployed on Salesforce. There are thousands and thousands of applications. So how do they get developed? They use the platform cloud to develop the application. And then Salesforce has its own software stack in which development happens. So it has its own UI framework, which is called Aura, on the basis of which the original Lightning framework was built. It has its own programming language, which is called Apex. It's a different programming language because when you program for the multi-tenant cloud, there are some, not too many, but some nuances that you have to keep in mind. It's a lot like Java, but with some additional features. Sort of a subset of Java with some additional features. Then Salesforce has its own query language, which is called SOQL. So when you query a multi-tenant database, you can't use SQL. You have to put certain restrictions on SQL. Okay, it has its own DML, data manipulation language. It has its own database. So if you want to develop applications on Salesforce, you develop them on the Salesforce PaaS platform, which is called force.com. Okay. Which is very powerful. You can develop they're full-fledged, small ERPs that you can download. There are banking solutions you can download, so on and so forth. There's another product that Salesforce has. It's called Heroku. So Heroku is a cloud platform as a service. So this is a company Salesforce purchased as a platform as a service language. So if you want to develop in languages outside the Salesforce stack, outside of Apex, like you want to develop in Java or Node or JavaScript or anything, you can use Heroku. It sits on AWS. So it provides a layer of abstraction on top of AWS. And you can use any kind of language, Scala, Clojure, Python, Go, PHP. So the users will do their development. The users will do their Salesforce development, both declarative and programmatically. And if they want to use other languages, they can use Heroku. Okay. So I'm covering a lot of things, but I'm trying to explain the whole stack. Okay, then there's App Exchange. So as I explained, App Exchange is the Salesforce store where third-party products built on the Salesforce platform are available. So if a company wants to develop a platform, you develop a product which it wants to run on the Salesforce platform, it uses force.com to develop it, and it releases it on App Exchange, and you can go download it and pay for it. Okay. The next layer consists of the Salesforce clouds. All right. So there's a large group of Salesforce clouds. And a cloud is basically an area in which Salesforce provides products. Okay. So the first ones were Sales Cloud, which is in the sales area, which is what Salesforce is known for in the CRM space. Then the Services Cloud. So Salesforce built both of these natively. Services Cloud is in the servicing area, customer service. Customer services via phone, via websites, via email, via social media, etc. Then Salesforce purchased a company called ExactTarget, which gave it the Marketing Cloud. Okay, so that's the third one. This is on a different platform. Salesforce basically integrates with it. And this is for marketing, campaign management, building journeys for campaigns, digital marketing, email marketing, mobile marketing, SMS marketing, right? Things like that. So that's the marketing part. So first you do your marketing, and then you convert them into sales, and then they get into your sales. Okay. So digital marketing, automation, and analytics, software, and services. And it's a suite of products which consists of email marketing, social marketing, mobile marketing, plus some more. Okay, then the next one is the analytics cloud. So Salesforce bought a few companies, and it created its product called Einstein Analytics and Discovery. And then it bought Tableau, which was the largest basically analytics companies in the world. And they got merged with Einstein. And now Salesforce has a series of Tableau products. Okay. And they form the analytics cloud and make Salesforce pretty much the biggest analytics company in the world. And you can do all kinds of analytics and visualizations. You can do predictive analytics. You can do prescriptive analytics. You can do descriptive analytics. So a major analytics platform. Okay. Then Salesforce purchased another company called, which it turned into its Commerce Cloud. So for B2B and B2C marketing, like you have Amazon. Okay. Then Salesforce has an IoT platform. All right. Internet of Things. Plus, there are other companies that Salesforce purchased on the infrastructure side, like MuleSoft, to integrate all of these with external systems. Okay, so there's a wide range of products that Salesforce has. Now we get to the actual topic that we're going to talk about, which is Financial Services Cloud. So Financial Services Cloud sits on top of Sales and Service Cloud as a special offering just for the financial services industry. Okay. So when Salesforce sold to banks all over the world, all the banks would develop their own applications on top of Salesforce using the platform cloud. So every bank had this different kind of an application to do their banking. So Salesforce decided that it would standardize the banking product, build it itself, and sell it to customers. Because much easier to maintain. They don't have to develop the banking services because they're getting a sales cloud and service cloud, and they're getting the Force.com platform. And they would be building their own applications, which would take them a long time. Then maintenance could be a challenge. So now they can just purchase a pre-built financial services application from Salesforce. And then Salesforce does the upgrade. Salesforce does, the product development. They can extend it also, but it's out of the box. They get it. And it offers all kinds of features, which we'll look at for banks. So if you're a bank and you want to buy Salesforce, you don't want it just for sales and servicing. You want it to do your banking processes also. And that's where Financial Services Cloud comes in. Okay. And then on top of that, it's pretty mature now. It's about 6 years old. So when Financial Services Cloud came out, other companies realized that they could then build additional features on top of Financial Services Cloud. Okay. So there are other third-party companies on the App Exchange that then build further features on top of Financial Services. So you buy Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, you then get Financial Services Cloud with it, and then if you want further features that may not be available in Financial Service Cloud, because Financial Services Cloud can't do everything, you can then go to the App Exchange and get even further products on top of. And this is a pretty big array of products. So it's difficult to have expert level knowledge of all these systems we walk through in detail. However, anyone who wants to get involved in the Financial Services Cloud needs to understand how Financial Services Cloud is stacked on top of each of these layers and which features are available at each layer, okay? So this is pretty much the technical stack that Salesforce has. Very broad, very deep. A lot of things are very original at the technology level, the declarative development, the multi-tenant database, the API first policy, and then full suite of products on the clouds, then financials. So we're going to be talking about this, okay, with the assumption that you have some understanding of this. Okay. So this slide simplifies the stack presented in the previous slide. The Financial Services Cloud is built on the Salesforce platform right here. So you have the Salesforce platform, on top of which we have Sales Cloud and Services Cloud. And then on top of that, you have the Financial Services Cloud, and then you have the App Exchange partner ecosystem applications. Okay. All right, so now let's do a really high overview of what Financial Services Cloud. This is from 100,000 feet. So what is Financial Services Cloud? All right. So Financial Services Cloud comes as what is known as a managed package. I won't get into that. You install it on top of Sales Cloud. It has a dedicated product team, design team, roadmap, which is vetted against customer advisory boards, user communities, idea exchange. So Salesforce doesn't just develop these products just like that. It goes, it talks to a lot of people, talks to companies, talks to advisory board, gets a lot of feedback, and then puts them into the next releases of the product. Right? There's a whole growing foundation of industry relevant components that are built into. So whatever the banks need on the cloud, Salesforce builds that out. If you look at the second column, Salesforce Financial Services Cloud now pretty much provides the backbone of what Salesforce is selling to banks, to insurance companies, to mortgage companies. So they now, when they purchase Salesforce, they get this. They basically have to do their development. They don't have to, but they're advised to do their development on Financial Services Cloud. And then there's continuous innovation going on. 3 times a year, there are 3 releases that Salesforce puts out. And based on whatever feedback they get from the customers, they put it into the next releases. So if you're familiar, if you're from the banking industry, this would all be familiar to you. Households, entities, trusts, revenue, cards, goals, things like that. So let's see if this works. No, you won't be able to see this. Okay, let me go back to my slides. I hope everybody can still see my slides. Okay. So what are the features in the Financial Services Cloud? Okay, so now let's get into the features. What does it offer? So Financial Services Cloud basically works in a few industry verticals in financial services. Okay. So if you're familiar with the financial services industry, it has different verticals: retail banking, where you go to a bank, open a checking account; corporate banking, which is for businesses; wealth management, which is for people who have some additional amount of wealth that they want to, additional amount of money that they want to invest; mortgages, if you want to get a mortgage, buy a house. So these are some of the industries, financial services industry. So one by one, Financial Services Cloud has been adding layers and layers, business vertical layers on top of the core Financial Services Cloud product. Okay. So since the launch of the Financial Services Cloud, we've gathered valuable feedback from our customers and have incorporated that feedback into the product development, delivering innovation 3 times a year. Okay. So the aim is to get all the information about your customers and then use it in the banking space. So in the 6 years that Financial Services Cloud has been in the market, a lot of money has been invested into the product, and it started off with wealth management. All right, that's the first area that Financial Services Cloud went into. The first release was in wealth management. Okay, so the FSE wealth management product came out. It had all the wealth management features: household model, multi-currency, language localization, relationship management. So if there are any bankers on here that in the wealth management space, they would be familiar with this. Then from wealth management, went into retail banking. So retail banking is when you go to a bank and open a banking account, checking account, savings account, get out, take an auto loan, things like that. So the second layer was retail banking. Okay. Then we kept adding things onto it. In 2019, there were 2 more verticals, 2 big ones that they got into: mortgage and insurance. So then another vertical was developed in Salesforce Financial Services Cloud called mortgage and insurance. So the insurance vertical obviously covers insurance. It offers various insurance products for insurance industries that can be managed on the financial services. So each one of these has its own UI, it has its own data model, it has its own business logic. And then for the mortgage industry, a separate mortgage product came out, right? And the mortgage project basically handles all the mortgage flows, what you have to go through to get a home loan. Okay. And these releases are still going on every year. There's some new release. All of these are upgraded, and then sometimes there's a brand new vertical that Salesforce gets into. So this is, in a nutshell, the Financial Services Cloud. Okay, we're at a very high level, but I just wanted to give you an introduction. We could go do a whole day session on each one of these. Basically, you have the Salesforce platform, which is built on the multi-tenant database architecture, which Salesforce came up with. On the platform, you can develop other applications, okay, which Salesforce provides, declarative development features, API first development. On top of that is the Salesforce Sales Cloud, Services Cloud. There's another cloud called the Community Cloud, which is portals. And then Salesforce purchased a group of company and formed some other clouds. There's Analytics Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Commerce Cloud, Integration Cloud. So the list keeps increasing. And then on top of Sales and Service Cloud is the Financial Services Cloud. Okay. So you get this product, you install it. Within that, you get more verticals. So you get wealth, you get retail, you get corporate and investment banking, you get insurance, you get mortgage, okay? And that's where Financial Services Cloud is right now. All right. This slide shows basically some of the features. If you sort of log into Salesforce, these are some of the applications that you get once you purchase financial services. So you don't get Analytics Studio, but you get the other ones: wealth management, retail banking, commercial banking, insurance, some of the consoles, and then you get some more. Okay. Let's take a brief look at the basic data model that's underlying Salesforce. So this is more for the technical people. So Salesforce, when customers bought Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, they had to build their financial services models by themselves on top of these clouds. So what Salesforce did was it gave a centralized, data model, not centralized, but a specific data model to all banks, which they can now extend. So this is the wealth and retail data model. There's a separate data model for insurance. There's a separate data model for mortgages. And these are the tables, which in Salesforce are called objects, that you get with this data model. So this comes out of the box, okay? Plus the business logic on top of it to do, loan processing, or to do account. You want to open an account. You want to look at your book of business if you're in wealth management. You want to do a mortgage flow all the way from the start of the loan to the end of the loan, okay? You get, for wealth, you get these 19 objects out of the box with all the relations. So this is, consider this to be a schema. You get this pre-built schema with the business logic and the UI on top of it, and a pretty detailed UI, all right? And then you can extend these. So Salesforce on its platform gives you abilities to extend these, all right? I won't get into the details of the data model because you really have to understand how Salesforce does data modeling, how it builds out its objects, its relationships, its security around the objects. But you can consider each one of these, if you want to look at it from just a relational perspective, to be a table. Okay, so there's a person account table. Let's call it a table. It's an object, which has information about your customers. Then it has information about the financial account they're opening. Then it has information about the transactions in that financial account, the billing statement, the credit cards they have, the fees that they're being charged, the financial holdings that they have, the securities, the stocks that they own, the family, the group that they belong to, the household they belong to, what their employment information is, what their education information is. Basically, if you're familiar with KYC, what their financial goals are, what kind of identity documents did they submit to open up their account, if they refer anybody to the bank, what kind of opportunities you're managing for them, so on and so forth. So this model is shared by some of the verticals, and some of the verticals have their own model. And then on top of that is the business logic, and then on top of that is the UI layer, okay? So this, in a nutshell, at a very high level, is the Financial Services Cloud. We covered it from a very, very high level. We don't have time to go into detail. I just wanted to introduce everybody to the Financial Services Cloud, okay? And then if you want to get more information, if you're working on Salesforce, you can specialize in just the Financial Services Cloud. This is the area I work in. Basically, every single project that I have done in Salesforce, every single product that I have worked on is Financial Services. It's the only one that I have worked on, right? And it's growing. If you're familiar with the Salesforce education ecosystem, training ecosystem, you can get free trial orgs with Financial Services Cloud installed on it. Then you can play around on it. There's a lot of really well-designed documentation and guides, help guides. You can download them as PDFs. There's the App Exchange, where you can get some free products which will run on Salesforce, some free ones which will run on FSC. And then there are getting started areas, there are trailheads, a lot of information on FSC. There's now, if you're doing badges, there isn't an FSC certification yet, but there are FSC super badges you can do on trailheads, which will introduce you to FSC. So whatever Salesforce is doing in the financial services space, which is the biggest vertical industry, will be on Financial Services Cloud. Okay, so that's an introduction to Financial Services Cloud. We're at about a half an hour.